Hello everyone and welcome to HooplaKidz Doodle. And we're going to start with our fine line drawings on the piece of paper, and this is quite simply a line down the middle and then this bulging shape around it, a bit like a large snow dome, and then this curving line like a smile here. And then we're going to add the detail of the arms, just roughly where they're going to go on both sides. And we're going to add the tops of the legs of the minion. And now we're going to add his smile. And two little ears. As well as those very characteristic two large eyes. And I wasn't quite happy with the shape of his head, so I'm just making it slightly larger. There we go. And I'm rubbing out the lines that I don't need anymore. And now I'm adding in those lovely goggles. Quite a simple shape really. And then the interior part. As well as those two little pupils there. And now that I've seen how big the eyes are, I've decided that I want the mouth to be smaller. And this is quite normal that you'll want to change the picture as you go along. There we go, and now I'm adding those characteristic teeth. Lovely stuff. On the top and the bottom. And then I'm adding the detail of the costume. There we go, we just want these two bits for the dungarees. And these two sloping lines going down like this. And of course, that lovely little pocket in the middle. Now for the hands. So they're these three sausage-like fingers with this little cuff here. And then I'm quite happy with the shape of the arm I sketched in to begin with. So I'm just going to go over that with the thick line. So yeah, in making these thick lines, you can just press harder with an ordinary pencil, or you can use a black pencil. And don't forget to post your picture on either our Facebook group or in the box underneath this video, because we love to see your pictures. Okay, there we go. We've got this hand here, which as you can see, I've made it look like it's resting on his side. And his elbows sticking out, which I think is quite cute. So just add those two buttons and then the detail of the pocket and the square in the middle with the little symbol there. And I'm just adding a bit of extra detail on the clothes so it really looks like those buttons and the minion's body are stretching the fabric. And then I'm just adding these thick lines to give it definition. Shading in the goggles. There we go, and I'm just shading inside the mouth as well to show that it's darker. And I'm just adding those lovely little feet for the Minion with this sort of heel underneath it. And now it's just the final touches, adding that bit of detail in the eyes and a few little strands of hair here on the top. Lovely, and now we just have to colour him in, which is really good fun, I think you'll agree. Olaf is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to start with our fine line drawing, so do pause the video here if you need to sketch this simple shape out first. And inside our fine line drawing, we're going to draw Olaf's head, which is this funny sort of potato shape. And I'm just rubbing out the lines that I'm not happy with, adding another couple of fine lines which will show us where the features need to go. So we've got 2 eyes there, a couple of eyebrows, and a big old goofy smile, and this strange shaped nose here. And then off the bottom of the head we're going to draw 2 bulbous shapes and then 2 little feet underneath. And then we're going to add in Olaf's arms, one pointing up and one going down, and then the detail down his body. And of course a few little sprigs on the top of his head. And now we're going to start doing the bold lines because we're happy with where the features are. So we'll just go around the eyes, adding the pupil, we go around the nose, and around the other eye. And as you can see, in each pupil I'm leaving a little bit of white to show the reflection of light in Olaf's eyes. Adding those eyebrows. And that really big mouth. Now I'm going to go around the face. And really there's quite a lot of definition on his cheek and around the bottom of the chin. It's quite a sort of a square chin we've got going on here. And then of course we need to rub out all those marker fine lines that we had to show us where things were going to go. Then I'm going to add the thick lines on these hands, if you like. And as you can see, because they're twigs, I'm adding a bit of twiggy detail. It's quite knobbly and, you know, not sort of straight like a normal arm. And you can be quite imaginative with this. And now I'm just doing the thick line around the body. And when you finish your picture, please don't forget to put it on our Facebook page or indeed in the box underneath this video. We love to see your pictures. And then I'm doing the same thing like we talked about for the arms on the twiggy bits of hair on Olaf's head. Now around those buttons. And colouring those in, adding a bit of shading. There we go. And now the same thing that we do when we're drawing a face, we're going to add those bits of shading where the light doesn't quite get to add a sort of 3D effect. So can you see I'm just shading in these particular bits of Olaf's body to really give him that full-bodied look. So underneath the mouth and around the side of the head. And of course, now we're going to colour him in. And that's really good fun. Spongebob Squarepants, doesn't he look brilliant? Right, so we're going to start with these sketch lines on the piece of paper. Now do pause the video here if you want to draw these and you haven't got time. As you can see, it's quite a simple square and some other lines coming off it. And to that we've just added 2 large circles for eyes, this pointy nose, this big old mouth and that little bulge for a cheek. And now all I'm doing is just colouring in bold the first eye, because I'm happy with that shape. And I'm making the second one a bit larger than my initial fine line drawing. Now for the nose. And now I'm going to do the same with SpongeBob's top lip and the mouth. And now, of course, I'm going to add in those very characteristic jaggedy teeth that he's got. And I'm just doing the outline of that cheek and adding the detail on the side of the mouth. It's looking good, I think. As you can see, I'm really taking my time and doing it step by step. And these two hill-like shapes here are, of course, SpongeBob's tongue. And now I'm adding the detail on the eyes. So those two crazy pupils. And again, I've started in fine. And because I wasn't quite happy with where this second pupil was, I can just rub it out and give it another go. There we go, I think that's better. And there we go, just the pupil right in the middle there. Now I'm going to add some more detail there underneath the mouth. And of course, the eyelashes, which are just these very simple short sticks. Right, and now we're going to form the body of SpongeBob. And this is this very wiggly line, which follows the faint line we'd drawn before. So this means we can have the square shape, but with this very authentic, wiggly body shape. There we are, that's looking good. And then for the torso, of course, we need that very famous tie that comes down there. And then these are very straight lines, just 3 straight lines that come down off the main body. And to create a 3D effect, I'm adding this side of SpongeBob's body. And there we go, there are his 2 legs. And onto those 2 faint lines we had on either side, I'm adding the cuffs and an idea of where the hands are going to be. And then when I've decided where they're going to be, I'm adding the detail of the fingers. Oh, not quite sure about that, so I'm just going to rub it out. There we go. And you can do this as many times as you like. There we go, so I'm doing those thick lines once I'm happy with the drawing. I think that looks alright. Now I'm going to do the other side. There we go, making that wiggly line nice and thick and defined. Lovely. And we're just going to go all the way round. Yeah, I think he's looking really, really cool. Please do share your drawings with us, we love to see them. You can just pop them on the HooplaKidz Facebook page or even in the comment box underneath this video. Okay, so we're just going to do the cuff on the other side. And there we go, the second arm. And I'm just going to sketch out this hand. He's sort of doing maybe a gesture or offering a high five to his friend. But you could put the hand in a different position if you like. And there we go. And we're almost there. I'm just going to finish off the legs. And it's those two shapes there. He's got a little bit of a heel on his shoe. They're almost like clogs, I think. So it's just those simple round shapes that we want for the shoes. And I'm just going to add the detail of that shirt and go round the tie in bold. And add this extra detail for his clothes. Lovely stuff. And the detail on the legs and a bit of shading on the shoes. And there he is. And now we've just got to colour him in, which is really good fun. Look how bright he is. Bugs Bunny. Doesn't he look brilliant? And we're going to start with our pencil lines to give us a guideline when drawing the real Bugs Bunny. And as you can see, we're starting with a triangle with a line down the middle. And then we've got one oval shape on either side of that central line. Little line on the top. And two lines coming down. And as you can see, it's the same distance from the bottom of the triangle to the top of the triangle times 2 for the ears, because he's got really big ears, fantastic for hearing. So we've measured out that distance and now we're going to draw those big ears. And now the fun begins. We can start with our big pen, draw the little nose on, and then from the nose, those two characteristic cheeks. And on the underside, we'll add a bit of detail of his fur. Can you see? And then we've got his neck there. And we're going to draw one eye there on the right. And another one on the left. Can you see the little line, the detail on the top of the eye? Bit of detail above the nose. And two pupils there. Lovely stuff. And now above the eyes, a little bit of detail. And some spiky bits of fur there. Really nice, you can be quite creative with that. And then quite simply a line on either side there, finishing off the shape of the face. And a lovely little smile, there we go. And of course, it wouldn't be Bugs Bunny without those teeth. And 2 little lines on either side of the teeth, there we go. And some nice big whiskers. There we go, they're really fun to draw. And now we get to do the ears. Great fun. Following those lines we've drawn before. And we're going to make it quite swirly, can you see? Really take your time with this. There we go. And 1 line down the middle. And there we go, another one to make the inside of the ear. Lovely stuff. And now we can rub out our pencil lines and colour him in. Please do post us your picture of Bugs Bunny, red angry bird. Right, so you need a pen and a piece of paper. And we're going to start with this big circle shape there. Easy peasy. And then we're going to add the detail here of the feathery bits on the top of the bird. Now we're going to add the shape of the mouth. And there we go. There we have it, the beak. And now those angry eyebrows, very important. And underneath those, the eye there. And we'll just colour that middle bit in there black. And the same shape on the other side. Now we'll do the detail of the pupils, colour those in black. Now we're going to add the thickness of the eyebrows, really characteristic for the red angry bird. I'm making that a bit longer, can you see, than the actual head of the bird. And colouring it in. Really thick eyebrows. And I've decided to really thicken up all of the lines to give it definition, which you might like to do as well. And this takes a bit of patience, colouring it in. There we go. Now we just add these simple shapes here and colour those in black as well. Show the back of the bird and around the eyes and the beak. And this is good because it gives you a chance to play with the shapes. And now, of course, we're going to colour him in red and the beak bright yellow. Baymax, doesn't he look wicked? Right, so we're going to start with our fine lines to mark out where everything goes. 1 line down the middle of the paper, and then this large sort of egg-like shape for his body. And then the small head on top. Remember, if you're not happy with it, just rub it out and give it another go. And then for the legs, 2 simple shapes underneath his body. And the arms, 2 rather big bulbous shapes here. And one of them is going to be doing a sort of wave, which means we need to add 2 shapes there on that side. And then for the fingers, we add, it's quite simple really, these small circles. Just adding them all together make his hand. Now we're rubbing out the lines we don't need anymore, all the ones that weren't quite right. And now we're adding a bit of detail onto those feet, and on the side of the legs, and on the side of the body, building up the detail. And now I'm thickening up the lines that I'm happy with to give me an idea of where I am. So those fingers and that thumb. And now I'm adding this little bit of detail here on the body, and then 2 little black eyes, which we just join together with a line. A bit more detail on that arm, and those simple finger shapes. I wasn't quite happy with that, so I've rubbed it out, and I'm giving it another go. There we go. And adding a bit of shading here to make him look really 3D. So on this particular side of his body, on the right side, just adding in that shading and down the arm, and adding a bit more down here to show the sort of fullness of his belly. And then a little bit of detail as well around the fingers, really giving him that 3D look. So can you see it's slightly darker on the right side, but there is shading around the fingers and around the other parts of his body. There we go. Lovely stuff. You can really be creative with this bit. And that's it. That's Baymax. As simple as that. I hope you've enjoyed drawing with us at HooplaKidz Doodle, and do subscribe to the channel so we can see you next time. Okay, bye bye.